Welcome back to the Adventures of Sassy Bob. Let's go ahead and boot up our game. Alright, so in the previous tutorial, we finally set up an NPC here. And of course it's nothing on the screen basically because we haven't set up any code for interactions. So let's start doing that. Alright, I'm going to collapse this for now. Okay, and I'm going to go to Project Manager, and let's add a new external event, and let's rename it. And I think you know what this is going to be called, right, if you've been following along. Kingdom Collisions. Okay, let's choose our kingdom here. Add an empty event, and let's link it before I forget. Add a group, move it over. Let's call it Kingdom Collisions. Let's right click and add a link. Move that over. Move over. There we go. Okay, and let's call it Kingdom. Let's link Kingdom Collisions. Good. We've got that up there now. That's great. Let me get rid of load game to make some room here. And where do we begin? Okay, where are we going to begin? Well, I think the first thing we should probably do is I'm tempted to take this Bob's Collisions out of here and move it over, but I don't, yeah, I am. I'm going to take this out. And I'm going to move, cut and paste it into Kingdom Collisions here. Just because it's all under, collisions. The collisions external event, which is good here. Let's open up Bob's Collisions for a second. And I already know that I need to change this up. In yours, you're probably just seeing this here, right? You're probably seeing this. This is not going to work anymore though because we have to update it for our new code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to collapse this and I'm going to add a new grouping. Place it underneath here and call this hide dialog. And now I'm going to paste that in so that it says if Bob is not in collision with the signs hide dialog, that's fine. But I want to add that if Bob is also not in collision, well, I guess I could just copy and paste it. Bob is also not in collision with townfolk. And I don't want to just hide the dialog layer, right? I can actually delete that. I want to call our clear, let's go to type on dialog here. I want to call basically our clear dialog trigger variable, which is dmanager.clearDialogTimer. Okay, so let's do that then. Where am I? Here I am. Let's call our trigger variable dmanager.clearDialogTimer equals 1. Now that should hide and clear out any dialog shenanigans we've got going on. All right, let's add another group. Where'd you go? There you are. I don't want you there. Right here. And let's call this Bob's NPC Collisions. And let's right click that and add sub event here. And I'm going to add a grouping and call it static NPC collisions. I'm going to copy this and paste it and call this one dynamic. And this is so that we can keep track of when we're working with static NPCs and dynamic ones, right? Fred Smith, the one that we created over here, is going to be a static NPC. He's going to say basically one thing per instance, per kingdom instance, right? One thing. Okay, so we're back in Kingdom Collisions. I'm going to add another grouping here. And this one is the name of our static NPC, Fred Smith. And now I'm going to add a sub-event below that. And I'm going to say, when Bob is in collision with townfolk. Now we need a way to differentiate the different townfolk. Okay, when Bob is in collision with townfolk, and the way we're going to differentiate this is again by comparing the X and Y position. Position. We need Fred's position here, which is in a variable, and it's a scene variable, so it's just variable Fred Smith.position X. Oh, that's wrong. Let me copy that and cut it. This is townfolk equals Fred's position. Then we need to add the position, the Y position of townfolk, equals variable Fred Smith.position Y. What do we want to do? Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to move them away from each other, right? Kind of. So we'll do movement, stop the object, Bob, right? And separate as well seems to work best here too. So position, separate two objects, Bob from townfolk. Okay, but we want to add a sub here that says if now space key released, the space key is pressed, right? Well, now we want to send Fred Smith's dialog to our type on dialog. And the way we do that is we store the dialog in this global variable dmanager.currentString, and then we just change our trigger variable of check for dialog equal to 1 to run it. So let's do that. Let's store our dialog first. It's a global variable and it's a string of a global variable because it's text. We're going to say dmanager.currentString is equal to variable string, right? It's text, Fred Smith dot dialog, and then we made it .0. But that's not all we want to do. Actually, I want to add his name too to keep track of. So that would be variable string Fred Smith dot name plus our dialog line. All right, and then I want to send, where is it? Variable, I want to send our trigger variable of dmanager.check for dialog equal to 1. All right, let's see how we did here. Okay, it should no longer, good, we can't go through them, that's good. Hey, it looks pretty good. So the question is, do we want quotation marks here to indicate Fred Smith is talking and then quotation marks? That is a good question. I am going to leave that for now. I'm going to leave that. All right. The last thing I want to do here is I want to have a little fun too. I want to make it so that, where is collisions? Here we go. I want to make it so that Fred will actually turn, his face toward Bob when Bob tries to talk to him. So I should have kept that preview running so that we can sort of demonstrate how we're going to do this. So I'll boot it up again really quick. And let's think about how we can make this work. So we know that when Bob is facing right, that's 0 degrees. When he's facing down, that's 90. When he's facing left, that's 180. Up is 270. Now it's no different for these characters too. Right now, Fred Smith is facing at 0 degrees. So let's do the math. If they're facing each other this way, Fred's at 0, Bob's at 180. We have a difference of 180. What happens when Bob is facing this way? Bob is now facing 270. If Fred is facing down, that's 90. Again, a difference of 180. You'll find it's the same thing here as well. So we need a difference of 180 in order to make these two compare. So let's go to Kingdom Collisions. When this happens, let's also go ahead and let's change the sprite direction of this town folk, Fred Smith here, and we're going to set it equal to Bob's position, Bob's direction. So where is that? Right here, sprite. We're going to set it equal to Bob's direction minus 180. Let's move this up. Let's move this up here. All right. All right, let's give it a test. And then I think that's all we're going to do for this particular tutorial. All right, can't really fit in there. Not really. Look at that. Look at that. Nicely done. All right, we'll stop there, and then I think in the next tutorial we'll add another one because we have to do a little bit of manipulation here with two different NPCs.